Kurt Warner, you can see him every Sunday on the NFL Network's NFL Game Day morning at 9 a.m. Eastern throughout the week on Around the League Live and Around the League Primetime and NFL Total Access. Kurt joins us now. Kurt, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, buddy?
Did you get any sleep?
I got a little sleep.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate getting up with us. Give me the most balanced team in the NFL right now.
Wow, that's a good question. I think the most balanced team has to be Seattle, just because they can beat you so many different ways. Russell Wilson can beat you with his arm or legs. They can run the football, and then obviously they can beat you in a lot of different ways on defense.
Okay, but you lose at home to Arizona?
I know. I mean, I'm still amazed that they couldn't get anything going offensively. You get 4 turnovers or 4 picks from your defense, and you lose that game at home. I tell you what, I was really, really surprised, but I still believe when I look at the other teams around the league that there's weaknesses on every other team. And this is a team that I've seen that has the ability to beat you all those different ways, although I agree, they didn't look very impressive offensively yesterday.
Least balanced team.
Least in the entire league?
Well, I'm talking playoff teams.
Like playoff teams.
Yeah, playoff caliber.
Wow. Least balancing. That's a good question, too. Got to try to figure out who's getting into the playoffs, but I guess right now you probably say Chicago, with them leading that division. But with that defense, they're completely unbalanced, although they have the ability to do some things on offense.
That Eagles offense is fascinating because I think everybody thought when Chip Kelly came in, he'll bring the Oregon style to this offense. And he actually conformed a little bit to the NFL style, that it's not about a running quarterback. It's just about everybody doing their job. And you can have – he's just trying to squeeze off as many plays as possible. But what did you see with that Eagle offense and their chances to beat Dallas in Dallas next Sunday night?
Yeah, I like their chances. And, the difference for me, too, is when I watched them in Oregon, not that I paid a lot of attention then, but it just seemed like even their passing game was, they had all the bells and whistles, but it was more quick passing, drop back, fake the run, get the ball out of your hands quick. And what you see them do now is they like to hold the ball and throw the ball down the field, and that's what has made them so dynamic, is the big plays that they've gotten game in and game out, and that's what scares you. And against Dallas, you can run the football obviously against Dallas, but if they can create the big plays, I don't think there's any question that they can compete with Dallas. They can beat Dallas next week. But it's going to be interesting. I want to see, again, Nick Foles in a situation where maybe they have to play from behind and, things aren't going well for him early. How does he bounce back? We've seen a couple of those games, Dallas the first time, Minnesota a couple weeks ago, and, they couldn't find ways to win those games. But there's no question they can compete with Dallas.
Is Peyton Manning getting better, or is it easier to be great in the NFL as a quarterback?
Well, I think it's a little of both. I definitely think it's easier. I think he's got more weapons now where he can, really pick his matchups. And when he gets the one-on-one matchup, he feels fully confident that those guys are going to win, and those guys are winning and making plays. But, yeah, it's easier just because the nature of the game. I think it's very, very difficult to play defense now. You watch guys specifically on those fades or back shoulder fades in the end zone. How many times do you see the offense extend their hands and they get away with it and they get a touchdown? If you're on defense and you even touch the guy, they're throwing flags now. So, just one example of how much easier it is to put the ball in the end zone. But Peyton's playing great. And he's always been great, but he's playing really at a high level. And, so I think it's a combination of both. But I got to give him credit. I don't care how good the league is or good your players are or how the changes have been made. To do what he's done, to do it back-to-back years after the surgery and sitting out, really, really impressive.
He's Kurt Warner from the NFL Network joining us, Dan Patrick Show. If you're the coach and or GM of the Packers, Aaron Rodgers cleared medically, would you have him play in the season finale against Chicago?
I'd like to say no. I understand the idea that once you get in the dance, you never know. Being with Arizona in 2008 when everybody said we were the worst playoff team ever, and to be 2 minutes away from winning the championship, you understand that once you get in, if you can get hot and play well, you can win. But the way I look at it, just from the outside, is that I don't think this team has a chance to win it. And again, no real reason for saying that other than we talked about balanced teams. I just don't see this team having the pieces, especially on defense, to compete with some of these teams in the NFC. And so with my mindset that way, I would say no way to risk Aaron Rodgers and him possibly re-injuring that shoulder. But, you have to look at the other side and go, man, we are still in this thing. And we can beat Chicago with Aaron Rodgers. There is no question in my mind we can beat him. Eddie Lacy running the football. And we can get into this thing, and then who knows? And so that, carrot in front of you is intriguing. But I'd like to think that if I was a general manager, I would be willing to pass up 1 year for the hopes of having plenty more with Aaron and that, saving him from another injury, even though I understand it's his left shoulder. How is this going to affect him long term if the bone's healed? All of those different things, that just kind of seems to be what I would like to do if I was in that situation.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if it was the defense that won the Super Bowl, an opportunistic one, then I could see that. But I don't think they're that good. And You're going to go to Chicago. This is the team that injured him the first time around, so there's no sympathy there. The other thing with the NFC North is Detroit's now been eliminated. Rodney Harrison last night on Football Night in America said, Matthew Stafford has been given too much freedom at quarterback, and he's developed some bad habits there. And if I'm looking at why they did not make the playoffs, I'm starting with Matthew Stafford. I don't think Jim Schwartz has ever been a head coach in the NFL. I just don't think he's wired that way. But this team is balanced. There's a whole lot of talent there for them not to make the playoffs. What do you see with Stafford, Kurt?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, I don't know about the leeway. It's hard to say. You don't want to stand back and say, well, okay, they're just letting him do whatever he wants. But the thing with Matthew Stafford is he's so darn talented. He is so physically talented, probably the best arm strength and the ability to make more big plays than probably any quarterback in the league. But the problem is that with that big arm, he takes so many chances, and he'll get away with a lot of those chances. And I've always believed that if you're a quarterback that takes chances and gets away with them, you're going to make a lot of mistakes because you believe you can do anything with the football. You can make any throw. You can go away from a read. You can throw it into triple coverage with Calvin Johnson, and he'll catch it. Well, sooner or later, those things are going to catch up to you. And if you can't pull back from that and play within the system, then you're going to struggle. And that's exactly what we saw. Early in the year, he was getting away with a lot of those throws, and he was having a really good year, and the team was winning. Later in the year, as they've needed more, and as they've been in closer games, he's trying to make those plays, and they're not working out, and they're going the opposite direction. We've seen all the picks recently, and and that's the bottom line. And then you couple that with when you watch him, on tape, his technique struggles a lot of times. That he believes his arm can make every throw, even if his feet are facing to the right. He believes he can make a throw to the left, and I know he's extremely talented, but not very many guys have the ability to get away with that. A guy like Aaron Rodgers can do that because he's got such great balance that he can have his feet in different directions and still make accurate throws down the field. But not very many guys have the ability to do that. And trying to do that, you're seeing bad throws behind guys. And this is, let's be honest, this is an offensive-based team. Is that I know they got some names on defense, but they pretty much give up 23, 24 points a game defensively. They have to score points. When they don't do that, they lose. And it starts with Matthew Stafford.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to the family, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, Kurt.
Sounds great. Merry Christmas.
All right, that's Kurt Warner, NFL Network, Pro Football Coverage in the Dan Patrick Show, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.